Somewhere in the silent depths of space, light is still traveling toward us. Light that began its journey more than 13 billion years ago. Each faint photon carries a memory, a whisper from a time when stars were just learning to shine. And yet, beyond that light lies something we can never see. Tonight, we will follow that last trace of brightness to the farthest horizon the universe allows us to witness. Out there, space itself is stretching faster than light can move, pulling galaxies away until even their glow fades into nothing. It is not the end of the universe, but the end of visibility. The boundary where reality dissolves into silence. This is not just a scientific expedition. It is a meditation on existence. A slow drift through time, energy, and the meaning of being small beneath infinity. Because when we look to the edge, we are not just seeking what lies beyond. We are searching for the part of ourselves that still wonders, still hopes, still breathes in the dark. So close your eyes. Imagine the stars moving farther apart with every heartbeat. And ask yourself, what happens when even light gives up the journey home? Let us travel there, to the edge of everything we can ever know. Tonight, let your thoughts drift beyond time. Let the noise of the day dissolve until only silence remains. The same silence that once filled the newborn universe. There was a time, long before stars, long before color, when the cosmos was nothing but darkness and breath. The Big Bang had already happened, a burst of unimaginable energy that set everything in motion. And yet, what followed was not light, but stillness. The universe expanded and cooled like a great ocean exhaling after a storm. Its waters were calm, endless, and empty. No stars shimmered, no galaxies turned. Only hydrogen floated, the simplest atom and the quiet foundation of everything that would one day exist. Imagine it, a sea without waves, a night without even the dream of light. Physicists call this era the cosmic dark ages. But perhaps darkness is the wrong word. It was not frightening or cruel. It was patient. It was the universe resting, breathing slowly, waiting to wake. In that infinite silence, something delicate was happening. Tiny ripples in density, no larger than a whisper, began to form across the cosmic sea. These were the first traces of structure, the faint heartbeat of creation. Someday, these ripples would gather enough strength to give birth to galaxies, to stars, to worlds, to everything we now call home. It is strange, isn't it, to think that everything began in such quiet, that before the first spark, before the first light, there was only the hum of hydrogen vibrating faintly across eternity. Scientists say that during this time, the universe was filled with a radio signal, a wavelength of 21 centimeters, emitted by neutral hydrogen atoms. It was the only sound in all existence, the only song playing in the dark. And even now, billions of years later, telescopes like LOFA and Hera still listen for that ancient note. They listen not to see the universe, but to hear its first breath. Even in silence, the universe hums softly, waiting to be heard. There's something profoundly human in that. We too are creatures who wait to be understood, who hope that our quiet signals, our smallest gestures, our gentlest thoughts will be heard by someone, somewhere. Perhaps the universe and us are not so different after all. Think about the nights when you've lain awake in darkness, unsure of what tomorrow might bring. The world outside is still. Your mind floats somewhere between fear and wonder. That is how the universe must have felt, suspended between nothingness and possibility, unsure of what it would become. In that sense, the cosmic dark ages were not a void, but a cradle, the necessary pause before awakening. Every creation needs its silence. Every dawn begins in the night. When you close your eyes tonight, try to feel that same quiet stretching across you. You are not separate from it. The atoms in your body, the carbon, the oxygen, the iron in your blood, were once pieces of that same hydrogen sea, waiting in stillness to be transformed by time. You are made of ancient patience. As the universe rested, it was already preparing for everything that would follow. The birth of light, the rise of galaxies, the stories yet to unfold. Just as sleep prepares the mind for a new day, the darkness of the cosmos prepared reality for illumination. So, if you are listening to this while the night surrounds you, take comfort in knowing that rest is not the end. It is the beginning. The universe too once fell asleep, wrapped in its own quiet, uncertain of what it would become. And when it finally woke, it did so with brilliance beyond measure. Nothing truly begins in light. It begins in the dark when you rest. Breathe deeply. Feel the stillness inside you echo the stillness between the stars. Every inhale is a small creation. Every exhale, a gentle letting go. The night is not your enemy. It is the soft space where all beginnings are born. And as you drift now, through thought, through time, through the vast ocean of silence, remember, even in its deepest darkness, the universe was never alone. It was simply waiting, quietly, to become what it was always meant to be. Sleep then, as the cosmos once did, in peace, in patience, in the calm before light. The darkness was never truly silent. Even in the vast stillness of those early cosmic nights, something soft was humming. A faint vibration rippling through the invisible ocean of hydrogen. Though there were no stars, no light, no color, the universe was already speaking in its own quiet language, not through brightness, but through rhythm. Scientists call it the 21-centimeter line, a tiny radio whisper emitted by neutral hydrogen atoms, the simplest and most abundant element in existence. Each atom, when its electron flips its orientation relative to its proton, releases a photon, not of visible light, but of radio waves, gentle and low, stretching across the cosmos like a lullaby that never ends. It is so faint that for billions of years, no ear could have heard it. Yet, it never stopped. The universe kept humming to itself long before eyes or consciousness could ever exist to notice. Astronomers today call it the faint heartbeat of hydrogen. It's not poetic exaggeration, it's real. That faint pulse is the first sound of structure, the earliest rhythm of the cosmos itself beginning to form. Imagine that. The entire universe asleep, but dreaming. Hydrogen atoms turning in the dark like thoughts forming in a half-conscious mind, releasing soft radio sighs across infinite space. These waves traveled endlessly long after the atoms themselves had moved on, carrying with them the memory of a time before stars. Even though light could not escape the fog of the early universe, these radio signals could. They slipped through the darkness with ease, unblocked, unbroken. the only messengers of that era that survived to reach us. And now, billions of years later, we are finally learning to listen. Across quiet deserts and frozen plains, enormous arrays of antennas stand beneath the same stars that once began to shine. Instruments like LOFAR in Europe, MWA in Australia, and Hera in South Africa. Each one built not to look, but to listen. From above, they resemble giant ears laid gently against the earth, tilted toward the heavens, trying to catch that ancient hum. They do not seek sound in the way we do. Their task is harder. To detect a frequency so weak, it hides beneath the static of our own galaxy, beneath the buzz of human technology, beneath the whisper of the atmosphere itself. Astronomers must remove everything louder, all the noise, all the interference, until only the purest echo remains. It is almost a spiritual act of listening, the art of silence, of patience, of faith that something meaningful exists beneath the noise. In that sense, science and meditation are not so different. Both are ways of quieting the surface to hear what lies beneath. You can imagine them, those scientists standing in the quiet of the desert night, surrounded by machines that hum as softly as the universe once did. They wait, not for a sound they can hear, but for a pattern, a wave hidden inside static, like a heartbeat inside the wind. To study the 21 centimeter line is to listen to the first conversations of the cosmos. Each fluctuation in that frequency tells us how matter once flowed, how tiny ripples became galaxies, how darkness began to gather light. Through that signal, we can map the universe before stars, before consciousness, before time as we know it. It's a strange beauty that the earliest messages of the universe are not bursts of light or sound, but quiet, invisible waves. They move not through air or water, but through the fabric of space itself, unchanged for over 13 billion years. Somewhere, deep in those waves, is the memory of the first breath the universe ever took. Perhaps that's what the 21 centimeter signal truly represents. Not just data, not just physics, but memory. The cosmos remembering itself, humming softly so it would not forget where it came from. There's a quiet lesson in that for us too. So much of life feels defined by noise, voices, thoughts, screens, plans. But beneath all of it, there is always a frequency, a pulse that never stopped. Like the universe, your mind hums even in silence. Your own heart, steady and patient, is its own 21 centimeter signal, a whisper that says, I'm still here. Even in silence, as the narrator might say, the universe hums softly, waiting to be heard. Tonight, as you listen, imagine those invisible waves drifting across time, from the first darkness to this very moment. Imagine that every breath you take sinks, for just an instant, with that ancient heartbeat. The same pulse that once rippled through hydrogen atoms now flows quietly within you. The night is not empty. It never was. It's just waiting for someone to listen. Long after the faint hum of hydrogen began to fill the cosmos, the silence continued. Vast, patient, infinite. The universe had spoken its first words, but not yet formed its first shapes. That 21 centimeter whisper drifted endlessly through the void, carrying a promise that one day darkness itself would learn to bloom. Out in the endless black, there were no lights, no stars, no galaxies, only invisible ripples. Tiny differences in density, so small they could barely be called real. Yet within those ripples lay everything. Tiny ripples that one day will become galaxies, the scientists say. But perhaps it's easier to imagine them as the first dreams of the universe, soft thoughts floating beneath a sleeping surface. Gravity was the quiet sculptor. Over millions of years, it gathered those invisible ripples together, pulling hydrogen toward hydrogen, turning silence into motion. At first, nothing seemed to happen. The universe was still dark, still cold, still waiting. But slowly, beneath that stillness, the seeds of light were taking root. If you could watch it unfold, it wouldn't look like an explosion. It would look like breath, a slow inhalation across cosmic time. Every ripple, every faint cluster, like a heartbeat forming in the body of creation. Close your eyes and imagine that, not as something far away, but as something inside you. The same forces that shaped galaxies are the ones that hold you together now. Every atom in your body was once part of that ancient hydrogen sea. You are quite literally made of the universe's waiting. In the stillness before stars, there was no direction, no sense of time, only the slow gathering of potential. Hydrogen clouds thickened, their atoms colliding softly like thoughts brushing past one another in a half-dream. The temperature rose. Pressure built. Somewhere in the distance, light began to whisper, though not yet strong enough to be seen. The first stars were preparing to ignite, but not yet. Not quite yet. There's something beautiful in that. The way the universe took its time. It didn't rush to become brilliant. It rested, it gathered, it waited until it was ready. Maybe that's how all beginnings should be. Not sudden, but slow. Not loud, but patient. Every dream begins in the dark. Every star begins as an uncertainty. In that one sentence lies the essence of both creation and human life. Every idea, every act of love, every moment of courage begins not with clarity, but with the question. It starts unseen, fragile, trembling inside the unknown. And yet, given time, it becomes something bright enough to change everything. The seeds beneath the darkness are not just hydrogen clouds. They are metaphors for every beginning that hides in uncertainty. Before the universe could shine, it had to rest. Before it could become light, it had to learn the language of stillness. As you listen now, you might feel that same quiet gravity inside yourself. The pull of things forming gently in the background of your own life. You don't always need to see them. Growth, after all, happens silently. Stars, too, were once invisible. If you feel lost in the dark, remember this. The universe once was, too. It spent hundreds of millions of years wrapped in shadow, unsure of what it would become. Yet inside that shadow, light was already being born. You are never truly still. Even when you rest, something within you is becoming. So breathe with the universe. Let your thoughts drift the way hydrogen once drifted. Aimless, soft, and infinite. Let them settle naturally into patterns only time will reveal. There is no need to force clarity. Darkness has its own rhythm, its own wisdom. Perhaps this is what the cosmos was trying to tell us all along, that light is not the opposite of darkness, but its continuation. Out of silence comes sound, out of emptiness, form, out of rest, awakening. Nothing truly begins in light, it begins in the dark. When you rest, let that thought linger as you close your eyes tonight. Feel the weight of calm pressing gently around you, like gravity gathering stars. You're not drifting away, you're falling inward towards something luminous waiting to be born. In this moment, the vastness of the cosmos and the stillness of your breath are the same thing. Both patient, both infinite, both quietly alive. Sleep then the way the universe once did, not because the journey is over, but because creation always begins in rest. The universe had been sleeping for what felt like an eternity. Beneath its blanket of hydrogen, invisible waves had rippled and gathered, preparing for something it could not yet imagine. Those ancient clouds, the seeds beneath the darkness, had grown dense enough to burn, and as if stirred from a long cosmic dream, the universe began to wake. In that awakening, the first sparks appeared, not suddenly, not in chaos, but in quiet revelation, as though awareness itself were dawning. Astronomers estimate it happened about 180 million years after the Big Bang, a heartbeat in cosmic time. In the vastness of silence, the first stars were born. Each star ignited like a thought forming in the mind of the cosmos. Brief, bright, and unstoppable once it began. Imagine hydrogen atoms crushed by gravity's invisible hand, colliding and merging in a heat so fierce that darkness itself began to glow. For the first time, the universe saw its own reflection, not through mirrors or eyes, but through light. The stars were not alone for long. They gathered in clusters, in families, in the earliest galaxies, fragile islands of brightness scattered through the deep ocean of night. The light they released did more than shine. It changed everything. Around each young star, the hydrogen fog that had veiled the cosmos began to dissolve, forming spheres of clarity, ionized bubbles that spread and merged like ripples in still water. These were the universe's first conscious breaths, its first attempt to see and be seen. Scientists call this moment the epoch of reionization, but perhaps a softer description fits better. It was the moment the universe became aware of its own existence. The fog lifted, and suddenly there was space, there was depth, there was light. It's hard to imagine such immensity, yet it is strangely familiar. Think back to your own first moments of memory, the first image that ever formed clearly in your mind. It might have been a color, a sound, a feeling. Perhaps your first memory was like that, a spark inside the dark. For the universe, those first stars were exactly that, the birth of memory, of structure, of awareness. Before them, existence had been formless, suspended. With them, creation began to think. You can almost hear it, the quiet thrill of awakening. Not a shout, but a murmur, light touching gas, heat stirring the cold. Every star was both a question and an answer. Who am I? It seemed to ask. And why do I shine? From a distance, it would have been beautiful beyond words. The first stars were massive, burning hot and fast, thousands of times brighter than the sun, but living only for a few million years. Their deaths were magnificent, collapsing under their own weight, exploding into supernovae that scattered the first heavy elements into the cosmos. From those remnants, future stars would inherit their glow. From that light, planets would one day be born. Each new generation of stars carried the memory of the first, brighter, richer, more complex. The cosmos was no longer asleep. It was dreaming consciously now, shaping itself with every burst of starlight. In this way, light and thought are not so different. Both begin quietly, both spread outward, and both create the space in which life can exist. Maybe that's why we find the night sky so calming. Every glimmer we see up there is an echo of that first awakening, a reminder that awareness itself was born from darkness. Carl Sagan once wrote, "We are a way for the cosmos to know itself." Perhaps that knowing began right here, in this moment, when hydrogen first turned to light, and the void became aware of its own beauty. If you listen closely, you can almost feel it happening again. Not out there, but within you. The same particles that once fused in those first stars now flow through your veins. You are made of their light, their collapse, their rebirth. The universe dreamed itself into being through them, and it continues that dream through you. So tonight, as you lie beneath your own quiet sky, think of those first sparks. Think of how light was not born to destroy the dark, but to understand it, to move gently through it, to give it shape. The stars did not conquer the night. They learned to sing within it. Every shimmer above you is a continuation of that first song, the universe remembering its own melody. Each point of light is a whisper saying, "I am awake." Let that thought settle into your breathing. Let it soften the edges of your day. The stars learn to shine not by fighting the darkness, but by accepting it, by using it as their stage. And perhaps that is the quiet lesson of the cosmos, that brilliance does not rush, that awakening takes time, and that even in your deepest night, there is a spark waiting, patient, eternal, and ready to rise. The first sparks had arrived, brief, radiant, and full of promise. They burned in solitude, scattered like lonely lanterns across an endless sea. Yet even a few points of light were enough to begin changing everything. Around each young star, the darkness began to shift. What had once been a thick, invisible fog of neutral hydrogen started to fade. Every photon that escaped from those first stars struck the atoms around it, knocking them apart, freeing their electrons. One by one, the bonds that held the universe in silence were undone. This slow transformation is what astronomers call cosmic rionization, the moment when light began to reshape the universe itself. But you don't need to remember the term. Just imagine standing in a vast valley at dawn, watching fog lift from the hills. The sunlight doesn't come all at once. It seeps in softly, glowing through the mist, revealing what was always there. That's what the cosmos was doing, taking its first breath of clarity. It's almost poetic to think that before the stars could fill space with beauty, they had to clear their own view. The light they created wasn't just illumination, it was transformation. Hydrogen, once still and neutral, became ionized, transparent, alive with energy. What had been a silent ocean of gas turned into a shimmering field of possibility. Each new star was a breath, each galaxy a rhythm. The cosmos inhaled, and light appeared. It exhaled, and the darkness faded. Slowly, softly, across millions of years, the fog thinned, the night opened, and space began to see itself. Scientists call this period cosmic dawn, not because it happened quickly, but because it carried the same emotion as sunrise. That quiet revelation that the world has been there all along, simply waiting for light to touch it. If you could have watched it from afar, you would not have seen a single flash or explosion. You would have seen patches of brightness expanding gently, like soap bubbles drifting and merging in a dark ocean. Each bubble marked a region where hydrogen had been ionized, where darkness had turned transparent. Slowly, they grew, overlapped, and connected, until the universe was no longer veiled but luminous. There's a rhythm in that image, not the chaos we often imagine when we think of creation, but something calm, deliberate, and full of grace. The birth of the visible universe was not a storm, it was a breath. Each new star is a breath of clarity, the universe learning to see itself. That thought feels almost human. We too come into understanding gradually. Our lives begin in confusion, in fog, and only through small moments of light do we start to see who we are. Every realization, every act of love or courage is like a tiny photon ionizing the darkness within us. Carl Sagan once wrote, "We are a way for the cosmos to know itself." Perhaps Ryanization was the first proof of that, the moment when knowing began. When light became not just an event, but an awareness. Think of it this way. For hundreds of millions of years, the universe existed but could not see. It was alive but unaware. Then, through the quiet persistence of gravity and time, it opened its eyes for the very first time. Light streamed outward, illuminating its own shape. It saw its galaxies form, its atoms dance, its own breath shimmer across the void. Even now, when you look up at the night sky, you are witnessing the echoes of that awakening. Every star you see is a descendant of that first generation, each one carrying the same mission: to keep the darkness honest, to remind the cosmos that it can still shine. And yet, it's important to remember that the fog was not an enemy. It was a beginning. Without that darkness, light would have had nothing to reveal. Without the stillness, there would have been no breath to break it. The universe did not fight the dark. It grew from it. In your own life too, there are fogs. Moments when clarity hides, when everything feels suspended and uncertain. But fog never means absence. It means becoming. Just as the universe once waited for its light, you are waiting for yours to emerge. So breathe with the cosmos tonight. Inhale and imagine that ancient light filling your lungs. Exhale and let the weight of the day drift away like mist at dawn. The stars are still breathing with you, their light still stretching across time, their warmth still dissolving the fog that remains between you and the infinite. The night is vast, yes, but it is not empty. It is alive with slow awakenings. The universe and you, still learning to see yourselves clearly. The fog had lifted. The darkness that once blanketed the universe was now translucent, shimmering with the newborn glow of stars. Ryanization, that grand act of cosmic awakening, was nearly complete. The light that once struggled to escape was now free to travel, to wander, to tell stories across eternity. Yet even in this newfound clarity, the universe left behind an echo, a song still humming beneath the silence. That song is the 21-centimeter signal, the faint radio whisper of hydrogen that survived from the age before light. It drifts through space even now, invisible but ever present, a trace of memory encoded in the cosmos itself. To astronomers, it is more than just data. It is music, the rhythm of the universe finding its voice for the first time. Through this signal, we can replay the song of the first morning. Instruments like Hera, Lo-Fa, and the upcoming square-kilometer array are not merely machines of science. They are instruments of remembrance, enormous cosmic ears listening to that ancient melody. They allow us to hear, in slow motion, how the darkness gave way to light, how the first galaxies danced into existence, and how the universe learned the language of brightness. Imagine that symphony, hydrogen atoms vibrating in harmony, their soft radio tones weaving together across billions of light years. Each tone represents a region of space, a note in a song that has played for over 13 billion years. Some parts are quiet, the untouched remnants of the dark ages. Others swell with brightness, the places where stars once roared to life. Together, they form a melody that still lingers through time, a lullaby of beginnings. It's hard not to feel a kind of reverence for that. The universe didn't awaken with violence, but with music. Each photon, each wave, each atom added its own sound to the great composition of being. It was not chaos, it was choreography, not noise, but resonance. You can almost hear it if you listen. The way light hums through your own life, the way quiet moments glow softly between thoughts. As if we could replay the song of the first morning, the narrator might say. And maybe, in a way, we already do. Every sunrise, every heartbeat, every breath that fills your lungs is part of that same cosmic rhythm. Light, after all, never truly conquered the dark. It learned to live with it, to dance with it. Light did not defeat the dark. It simply learned to dance with it. That line feels simple, but it carries the weight of everything the universe has ever done, because even now, darkness is not gone. It remains between galaxies, within shadows, around stars. But it is no longer feared. It is part of the harmony, the pause between notes, the silence that makes music possible. Think of your own life that way. The quiet moments, the times when nothing seems to move, those are not empty. They are the spaces where meaning gathers, where your light takes shape. Darkness does not end you, it completes you. As Carl Jung once wrote, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. The cosmos seems to have known this all along. Its awakening wasn't about destroying the shadows. It was about understanding them, transforming them into light that could move freely, endlessly, beautifully. If you could stand at the edge of that early universe, you would not see conflict, only balance. The dance of creation unfolding softly, each moment both an end and a beginning. Stars pulsing, hydrogen shimmering, the air of eternity breathing slowly in and out. And in that rhythm, you might feel something familiar, the same calm that lives in you now, because that rhythm never stopped. It runs through every atom of your body, every molecule of air, every beat of your heart. You are not separate from that music. You are that music. So as you listen tonight, let the silence around you become a melody. Feel it rise and fall with your breath. Inhale, the light appears. Exhale, the darkness fades. The stars did this once, and they still do. Every moment they flare and rest, burn and cool, in a rhythm that has guided the cosmos since its first dawn. Now, breathe with the stars. They are older, but they rest too. Let that thought cradle you. You are part of something vast, but you are also allowed to rest. The universe did not rush its awakening. Neither should you. Out there, hydrogen still hums, light still travels, and the song of creation still plays. Quiet, endless, eternal. And as you close your eyes, remember, you are listening not to the universe's past, but to its heartbeat, still beating, still shining, still singing softly in the dark. Long after the first stars began to shine, their light continued to travel, stretching, fading, softening as it crossed the expanding universe. The great music of awakening slowly quieted until only faint echoes remained. But those echoes never disappeared. They drifted, hidden beneath layers of cosmic noise, waiting for someone to listen. That is where we find ourselves now, in an age not of creation, but of listening. Astronomers lean close to the void, trying to hear a sound older than memory. Imagine it, the static of a distant radio, the faint hiss that seems like nothing at first. Beneath that static lies the ancient hum of hydrogen, the same 21-centimeter whisper that once flowed through the darkness before the first light. To find it is to reach back across more than 13 billion years, to touch the earliest chapters of existence itself. But the signal is faint, unimaginably faint. By the time it reaches Earth, it is buried beneath stronger voices, the noise of our own galaxy, the chatter of human technology, the pulse of Earth's atmosphere. The Milky Way radiates waves 1,000 times louder, and we, with our phones, our satellites, our constant transmissions, only add to the noise. It's as if the universe is whispering across time, and we are shouting right over it. To listen beneath that noise requires patience and a kind of humility. Scientists build massive instruments in remote deserts and plateaus, far from the chaos of human sound. The hydrogen epoch of rayonization, Array, Hera, rests quietly in South Africa, a field of antennas shaped like open palms reaching toward the sky. In Australia, the MWA listens beneath the southern stars, while in Europe, the LOFAR network stretches like a web of consciousness across the earth. Each one is designed not to look outward, but inward, to hear what light has long forgotten. These machines do not hunt with violence or force. They wait, they listen, they filter every layer of interference, from our galaxy's electric murmurs to the quiet breathing of our own planet, until maybe something older begins to emerge. A pattern, a pulse, a heartbeat of hydrogen that once filled all of space. It's a strange image. The greatest minds of our time not building rockets to travel through the stars, but listening for their first song. Yet that is where true discovery lives. Not in motion, but in stillness. Not in conquering the universe, but in understanding its quiet. Listening beneath the noise is a kind of meditation. It mirrors the way we search for peace in our own restless minds. Before sleep, thoughts collide like particles. Memories, regrets, plans, fragments of conversation. The mind hums with static, but beneath it all, there is always something softer. A voice that waits to be heard when everything else grows still. Like your own thoughts before sleep, noisy, layered, hard to quiet. Finding the 21-centimeter signal is no different. It's not about silencing the noise, but about listening through it. Scientists use algorithms and models, but also intuition, a sense for when the chaos begins to make sense, when the pattern starts to hum back. In that way, the universe is not so much being decoded as it is being remembered. Every time astronomers catch even the faintest trace of that ancient wavelength, they are hearing the first language the cosmos ever spoke. Before stars, before galaxies, before even time had a rhythm, hydrogen was already singing. a single note stretched across eternity. And maybe that's why this search feels so human. Because deep down, we are all trying to listen for something, a truth beneath the noise of our own existence. The static of daily life can be deafening, but if we lean closer, if we quiet ourselves long enough, there is always a signal waiting underneath, the sound of being steady and eternal. Carl Sagan once said, "Somewhere, something incredible is waiting to be known." Perhaps he didn't just mean discovery. Perhaps he meant remembrance. Because what we are really searching for through all our telescopes and equations is connection. Proof that the universe still speaks and that we still have the capacity to hear. Out there, in the silence between galaxies, the 21 centimeter signal drifts on, unchanged, undiminished, carrying the memory of the universe's first dawn. And here, on this small blue planet, we listen, not to conquer the dark, but to understand it. So as you lie here tonight, let the soft hum of the universe blend with the rhythm of your own breath. Imagine those radio waves washing gently over you, ancient, steady, patient. The cosmos has been whispering for billions of years. All we ever had to do was listen. Beneath the hum of radio static and the whisper of stars, the listening continues. The search for the 21 centimeter signal is not a race. It is an act of patience, an art of waiting for the universe to reveal itself. Astronomers call their great observatories instruments, but in truth, they are more like monuments to stillness. Across remote deserts and open plains, these machines of silence reach toward the heavens, built not to shout into space, but to listen. The hydrogen epoch of rayonization, a ray, Hera, stretches quietly across South Africa's Karoo Desert. A landscape so dry, even time seems to pause there. Rows of antennas rise from the earth like meditating monks, their metal faces tilted upward, waiting for the faintest whisper from the ancient night. Thousands of miles away, the foundations of a new generation of telescopes are being laid. The Square Kilometer Array, SKA, the largest radio observatory ever imagined. When completed, it will be capable of detecting signals billions of years old, tracing the universe's earliest breaths with the precision of a heartbeat monitor. Yet, despite its size and ambition, SKA's purpose remains simple: to listen quietly enough to hear what the universe has been saying all along. Listening, in this context, is not passive. It is devotion. It requires scientists to tune out every distraction, from the buzz of Earth's atmosphere to the artificial noise of our modern world. It's a task so delicate that even an airplane passing hundreds of miles away can drown out the ancient song they are trying to hear. And so they build these observatories in the most silent corners of the planet, where the night is still pure and the stars can speak freely. Among these efforts came one moment of unexpected wonder: the EDGES experiment in 2018. In the vast emptiness of the Australian outback, a single antenna the size of a table caught something extraordinary: a faint dip in radio frequency, an absorption deeper than any scientist had predicted. It was the universe itself, absorbing its own light. For a moment, it seemed as if we had heard the breath of creation. If true, the researchers said, it means the dark itself once touched the light. Those words carry more than scientific meaning. They speak to something timeless. The idea that even darkness participates in the act of becoming. That perhaps the unseen and the unknown are not empty, but alive. The signal EDGES detected was faint, fragile, but unmistakably real. It hinted at something extraordinary, that the hydrogen from the cosmic dawn had cooled more than expected, possibly interacting with another hidden form of matter. Some scientists whispered the phrase dark matter coupling. Others called it simply a mystery. Dark matter, that invisible substance making up most of the universe, may have once reached out to ordinary matter, sharing its silence, altering its temperature, leaving behind the faintest mark of its presence. If so, that moment was not just the meeting of physics, but of poetry, a handshake between the seen and the unseen. It reminds us that discovery is not always about clarity. Sometimes it's about patience, allowing the unknown to remain mysterious long enough to speak in its own language. The astronomers studying these signals do not rush. They refine, they question, they listen again. For them, progress is measured not in certainty, but in quiet confidence. There's a tenderness in that, a respect for the universe's timing. The cosmos does not reveal its secrets to those who demand them, but to those who wait, who listen, who trust that truth moves slowly, like light crossing an ocean of space. The night sky, after all, has never stopped sending its messages. We are only now learning how to slow down enough to hear them. Perhaps that's the hidden lesson behind all of this, that patience is not absence, but participation. Just as Hera and Iskahe listened to the cosmos without interruption, we too can learn to listen to our own inner quiet. Beneath all the noise of modern life, beneath thoughts, screens, and the hum of expectation, there is always a deeper signal waiting to be heard. Carl Sagan once wrote, "The universe is not required to be in perfect harmony with human ambition." And perhaps that is the beauty of it. The universe moves at its own pace, unfolds in its own rhythm. Slow, vast, deliberate. Our role is not to rush it, but to join it. So as you listen tonight, imagine those machines of silence, their antennas gleaming under the starlight, their circuits tuned to the ancient frequency of existence. Imagine the scientists who wait beside them, their faces calm, their ears open, their hearts full of wonder. Out there, beyond the hum of civilization, the universe is still speaking. And somewhere within that quiet, we are learning to listen again. After years of listening, of filtering noise from meaning, of waiting for whispers older than time, there comes a quiet understanding. The universe has always been speaking. The question was never whether it would speak to us, but whether we would ever grow still enough to hear it. The experiments, Hera, Eska, edges, are more than telescopes. They are extensions of our own senses, our own longing to reconnect with where we came from. Each machine turns its ear toward the ancient night, reaching back across billions of years to touch the same silence that once existed before stars. Through them, the universe is not just being observed, it is being remembered. That's the gentle truth that begins to unfold here. In listening to the cosmos, we are, in some deep and quiet way, listening to ourselves. Maybe that's what science truly is. The universe listening to itself through us. Think about that for a moment. Every measurement, every telescope, every faint signal we trace back through time, all of it is the cosmos becoming self-aware. The atoms that make up our hands once belonged to dying stars. The calcium in our bones, the iron in our blood, the oxygen we breathe, all forged in furnaces billions of years before we existed. When we point our antennas to the sky, it is not us looking outward. It is the universe turning its gaze inward, trying to recognize its own reflection. It's humbling and it's beautiful. The same hydrogen atoms that once whispered across cosmic darkness are now inside us, forming our thoughts, carrying our breath, giving life to the consciousness that dares to ask why. It's as if creation gave itself a voice, and that voice is ours. As we listen for the faint heartbeat of hydrogen, the signal of the 21 centimeters line, we're not just hearing the past, we're hearing our origin story. We're hearing the beginning of sound, the first pulse that eventually became thought, emotion, music, and meaning. That fragile hum is the parent note of everything that has ever resonated, from the vibration of strings in a symphony to the quiet rhythm of your heartbeat. In this sense, the 21 centimeter signal isn't just data, it's remembrance. It's the cosmos tracing its lineage back through time, reminding itself that even in silence, there was always a song. When Carl Sagan said, "We are a way for the cosmos to know itself," he wasn't speaking metaphorically. He meant it, literally. Every act of discovery, every moment of awareness is the universe folding back on itself in recognition. You are part of that process. You are the means by which starlight remembers it once existed. So as you imagine those machines of silence out there in the dark, their antennas glimmering under ancient starlight, think of how they mirror you. They listen. They wait. They collect faint traces of meaning from the static. Isn't that what you do too, in the stillness of night? You listen beneath the noise of your own thoughts, searching for the voice that speaks softly from within. There's something sacred about that parallel. The human heart and the cosmic antenna, both tuned to the same frequency of wonder. We listen not to master the universe, but to belong to it. We search for signals not because we doubt they exist, but because deep down we know they must. Every discovery begins in silence. Every understanding begins in humility. The universe did not reveal itself to those who shouted loudest, but to those who sat quietly and paid attention. And maybe that's the lesson this cosmic journey offers us, that listening, whether to the stars or to ourselves, is an act of love. So breathe. Feel how your body expands and contracts with the rhythm of the night. The same way galaxies breathe with their light, inhaling and exhaling across billions of years. You are made of that rhythm. You're not separate from it. The sound you hear in your mind, that soft hum between thoughts, is not empty. It's the echo of the same frequency the universe has been humming since the beginning. It's the song of being, quiet, eternal, patient. And you, too, are part of that silence tonight. Let that thought settle over you like starlight. Gentle, weightless, endless. Out there, the universe listens to itself through your breath, your awareness, your quiet wonder. You are the receiver and the signal, the listener and the song. So as you drift now, let go of the need to understand. The universe does not need your certainty. It only asks for your stillness. Somewhere in that stillness, you will hear it. The hum of creation, soft and steady, waiting to be recognized. Close your eyes. Let the silence expand. You are not alone in it. You are the silence, the light, the memory. The universe hearing itself once more. The universe had been listening to itself for billions of years, through light, through hydrogen, through silence. Yet not all its messages come as whispers. Some arrive as travelers, swift and unseen, carrying stories from the farthest reaches of existence. They do not speak in light or sound, but in motion, ancient particles journeying across the darkness, crossing galaxies just to touch us. Astronomers call them cosmic rays, high-energy messengers from the unknown. They are fragments of atoms stripped bare and hurled through space by the most violent events in the cosmos. Supernovae, quasars, and the magnetic storms of galaxies colliding. They travel near the speed of light, invisible to the eye yet constant in their arrival, like a rain of invisible fire falling gently on Earth. Every second, millions of them pass through you, through your skin, your bones, your breath, without you ever feeling them. They come from places you cannot see, carrying energies so immense that they defy imagination. Some have traveled for billions of years, crossing the quiet between galaxies, slowed only by time itself. It is humbling to think that right now, even as you lie still, you are being touched by particles born in the death throes of ancient stars. The same stars whose light we study are still reaching us, not only as photons, but as matter, the physical echoes of their existence. Scientists measure these cosmic travelers in places like the Pierre Auger Observatory in Argentina and the Telescope Array in Utah. Vast fields of detectors stretch across silent landscapes, waiting for the faint flashes of light produced when cosmic rays collide with Earth's atmosphere. Each flash is a footprint, a record of a journey billions of years long, ending here in this quiet corner of the universe. Some of these particles carry so much energy that physicists speak of the GZK cutoff, a theoretical limit to how powerful a cosmic ray can be before it loses energy to the cosmic microwave background. And yet, there are particles that seem to defy even that rule, as if the universe itself sometimes forgets its own boundaries. But this isn't a story about equations or limits. It's about wonder, the kind that arises when you realize how far a single particle can travel and how patiently it moves through the endless night just to reach us. Beneath the storms of stars, they travel endlessly. The phrase sounds poetic, but it is true. Space, in its stillness, is not empty. It is alive with motion, streams of energy moving invisibly between galaxies, weaving connections between worlds that will never meet. These particles are the quiet couriers of cosmic history, carrying within them the memory of every collision, every explosion, every transformation that shaped the stars. And perhaps, in a way, they mirror us. We too are travelers, shaped by forces older than memory, driven by invisible energies we do not fully understand. We move through the world, leaving traces of ourselves in places and people, sometimes without realizing how far we've gone or how deeply we've touched others. Sometimes, as the storyteller might say, your own thoughts travel that far before returning home. Just as these particles wander through the vastness of the cosmos, our minds wander through the vastness of being, traveling through memory, through hope, through questions we may never answer. And yet, somehow, they find their way back. Cosmic rays remind us that even in an infinite universe, everything is connected. Each journey, no matter how distant, has a destination. Each motion, no matter how small, leaves an imprint on something else. Carl Sagan once wrote, "The cosmos is within us. We are made of star stuff." Perhaps these rays are the universe's way of proving it. Tangible pieces of stars reaching across eternity to remind us that we are not separate from the sky above, but continuous with it. There's something deeply peaceful in that realization, to think that even the most energetic particles, born in chaos, eventually arrive here, where everything slows, where they dissolve softly into our atmosphere like raindrops fading into soil. If you step outside on a still night and lift your eyes toward the stars, you might not see them, but they are there, drifting through you, ancient and tireless. The night air you breathe carries the memory of explosions billions of years old. So as you breathe now, let your thoughts move like those cosmic travelers, far, free, unhurried. Let them drift beyond your worries, beyond the edges of your known world. Somewhere out there, a particle that left its home before Earth even formed is just arriving, silently, without fanfare. That is what patience looks like on a cosmic scale. Not waiting for time to pass, but simply existing within it. Tonight, as you rest beneath the quiet hum of the universe, remember, every heartbeat, every breath, every thought is part of that same story. The endless rain of energy falling gently across time, carrying messages from the unknown, finding their way home in you. The rain of cosmic rays never truly stops. Each invisible drop carries the story of its origin. The echo of exploding stars, the pulse of distant galaxies, the shimmer of energy born in chaos. Yet, beyond even that storm of motion, there exists something quieter, something so elusive that it slips through stars, through planets, through you, without ever slowing down. These are the neutrinos, the universe's quietest travelers. Every second, trillions of them pass through your body. They stream from the sun, from ancient supernova, from the heart of distant galaxies. They pass through walls, mountains, and oceans as if matter itself were nothing but mist. You never feel them, yet they are always there. Small, nearly massless particles whispering across time. Physicists once called them ghost particles, not because they haunt us, but because they defy our senses. They are the most abundant travelers in the universe, and yet the most invisible. They do not shine, they do not linger. They simply pass through. To detect them requires something extraordinary: patience, stillness, and a willingness to listen to what can barely be heard. Deep beneath the ice of Antarctica lies Ice Cube, a vast observatory that listens for the rare flashes of blue light created when a neutrino, against all odds, collides with another particle. Thousands of sensors embedded in the frozen darkness watch silently, waiting for that single flicker, the sigh of a ghost passing through eternity. In Japan, beneath a mountain, another such sanctuary rests, Super Kamiokande. It is a giant underground chamber filled with pure water, surrounded by photomultiplier tubes that wait for faint ripples of light, the whispers of passing neutrinos. And soon the next generation of detectors, Hyper Kamiokande and beyond, will join the listening. These places are not just laboratories. They are temples of patience, cathedrals built to honor the quietest voice in creation. Scientists often describe them as machines built under ice to catch a single sigh of the cosmos. Imagine that for a moment, human beings, tiny inhabitants of a small planet, building instruments the size of cities just to hear something that passes through us billions of times per second, unnoticed. It is both humbling and deeply poetic. Neutrinos carry stories older than the stars. They were born in the first seconds after the Big Bang, when the universe was still a sea of light and energy. The cosmic neutrino background, CNB, a faint invisible echo of that ancient time, still fills all of space today. If light tells us what the universe looked like 380,000 years after its birth, neutrinos tell us what it felt like only 1 second after it began. They are, in a sense, the universe's memory of its own heartbeat. And yet, for all their mystery, neutrinos ask nothing from us but attention. The same kind of attention you give to silence when you're trying to fall asleep. They remind us that the most profound truths often move quietly, without demanding to be seen or understood. You don't need to understand everything. Some truths pass through you, unseen, like neutrinos. That line holds both comfort and freedom. Not everything meaningful must be grasped or measured. Some things are meant to flow through you, leaving behind only a sense of peace. Like neutrinos, they travel without resistance, without fear, simply existing. If you think about it, there's something spiritual about their nature. They are neither bound by light nor trapped by matter. They move through stars as easily as through your hand. They connect all things, the heart of a collapsing supernova to the breath of a sleeping child, in a single, invisible thread. Perhaps that's what makes them so beautiful. They are not a metaphor for mystery. They are mystery itself, translated into motion. Carl Sagan once said, "Somewhere, something incredible is waiting to be known." But what if some things are not meant to be known in the way we expect? What if they are meant to be felt? Subtle, fleeting, passing through us like starlight through water. You don't have to see the neutrinos to know they're there. Just as you don't have to see the wind to feel its touch, or hear the universe to know it sings. You only have to be still enough to notice. So tonight, as you breathe, imagine the countless neutrinos moving through you, ancient messengers from the beginning of time, each one carrying a memory older than light itself. They don't stop, they don't slow, they simply move through everything, including you. And in that thought, there is peace. Because maybe awareness doesn't come from holding on, but from letting things pass through, from trusting that even the unseen can leave an imprint, from realizing that you too are part of the flow, quiet, infinite, and full of wonder. Close your eyes, feel that endless movement, that invisible thread that ties you to every star, every atom, every moment that has ever existed. You are surrounded by ghost travelers, gentle, ancient, patient, and tonight, as they pass through you, the universe itself pauses to breathe. Deep beneath the silence of the earth, the great detectors continue to listen. Their waters shimmer faintly, their sensors wait without hurry, and their data flows like quiet poetry. Each number a trace of something that once passed through unnoticed. The neutrinos, those ghostly travelers, are still speaking. And now, after decades of listening, we are beginning to understand the language. The faint flashes captured in the ice cube, Super Kamiokande, and Boreg Xeno detectors are not random events. They are sentences in an ancient, hidden conversation, one between the universe and itself. Each neutrino carries a story of collapsing stars, of violent creation, of what happens in the hidden heart of matter when light is not enough to tell the tale. When a massive star reaches the end of its life, it doesn't simply fade, it implodes, collapsing under its own gravity, crushing its atoms until the core can no longer resist. For a brief instant, the universe pauses, and then, in one breathtaking burst, the star releases a flood of neutrinos, more than it has emitted in its entire lifetime. These ghost particles escape long before the light does, traveling freely through the chaos, carrying with them the first news of death, or perhaps of rebirth. In 1987, detectors on Earth got such a message. The neutrinos from supernova 1987A, arriving hours before the explosion's light reached us. It was the universe whispering, "It has begun." That single event changed how we understood both stars and silence. For the first time, we were not just watching the cosmos, we were listening to it. Through neutrinos, scientists have mapped the invisible architecture of existence, the structure of galaxies, the behavior of nuclear fusion, and even the possible nature of dark matter, that unseen substance making up most of the universe's mass. These ghostly messengers reveal what photons cannot, the inner conversations of the cosmos taking place in the dark. It is almost poetic, isn't it? The most elusive particles in the universe helping us understand the most mysterious forces that hold it together. Perhaps meaning itself lives in what cannot be seen. Even the invisible has meaning. That truth reaches far beyond physics. It touches the way we live, the way we feel, the way we search for understanding in the quiet spaces of our own hearts. Not every truth can be measured. Not every connection can be named, but they exist, subtle, invisible, and real. Like the neutrinos passing through you this very second. Physicists often describe neutrinos as messengers of the core. They emerge from places no light can reach, the hearts of supernovae, the depths of collapsing galaxies, the dense beginnings of the universe itself. They carry with them the imprint of what happened there, untouched, uncorrupted. They are not hindered by matter or distance. They do not decay easily. They persist, silent, eternal, faithful. If light is the voice of the visible universe, then neutrinos are its inner thoughts, private, gentle, and profound. It's humbling to realize that while we live our lives, while we breathe, dream, and sleep, billions of these ghost particles pass through us every second. Through your skin, through your bones, through your heart. They do not disturb. They do not harm. They simply move through, quietly reminding you that you are part of something vast, something ancient, something ongoing. Carl Sagan once said, "We are star stuff contemplating the stars." But perhaps we are more than that. We are also the silence between the stars, the invisible rhythm that ties them together. We are made not only of what shines, but of what passes unseen. Thoughts, emotions, particles, and memories that drift through space and through us alike. Neutrinos remind us that existence is not defined by visibility. Just because something cannot be seen does not mean it lacks purpose. The strongest forces, after all, gravity, love, time, are invisible. Yet they shape everything. You don't need to understand every mystery to feel connected to it. Some truths are meant to be experienced, not explained. Like music heard through a wall. You may not catch every note, but you still sense its beauty. So as you listen tonight, imagine those neutrinos flowing through you. Billions at this very moment, traveling from the hearts of stars, through oceans and mountains, through time itself. They are the softest reminders that you belong to a universe that never stops speaking, even when it seems quiet. Billions of them pass through you right now, gentle reminders that you belong to something vast. Let that thought settle over you. Let it breathe with you. The hidden conversation continues. In the silence of the night, in the rhythm of your heartbeat, in the quiet hum of the cosmos surrounding us all. Close your eyes. Feel the peace in knowing that even what passes unseen leaves its mark. You are part of the dialogue, written not in light, but in motion, carried across eternity by the universe's most silent messengers. Long after the last neutrino has passed through you, and the final star of this generation burns its quiet light into the night, something remains, a gentle residue of everything that has ever shone. It lingers like warmth after a fire, or the fading scent of sunlight on your skin. That soft, eternal trace is what astronomers call the extragalactic background light, or EBL. The faint glow that fills the universe, created by the combined light of every star that has ever lived. Every flicker, every sunrise, every dying ember of a galaxy contributes to this invisible ocean of radiance. It is, in a way, the memory of the cosmos, a record written not in words, but in photons. The universe keeps its memories as light. Think of that for a moment. Every beam that has ever left a star still travels somewhere, still exists, still moves through space at 186,000 miles per second. Never stopping, never fading completely. Even the smallest candle of the night sky contributes to this grand cosmic memory. Astronomers measure the EBL not by direct sight. It is too faint, too intertwined with brighter lights, but by listening to its echoes. When high-energy gamma rays from distant galaxies travel toward Earth, they sometimes collide with the sea of ancient light, leaving behind subtle traces in their spectrum. Instruments like Fermi-LATE and HESS detect these tiny interruptions, like hearing the softest echo of every sunrise that ever was. Through these quiet patterns, scientists reconstruct the story of starlight, the rise and fall of galaxies, the rhythm of cosmic creation, the long twilight of time. It is remarkable, really. The universe is old, almost 14 billion years, yet none of its light is truly lost. Every photon ever emitted from a star still drifts somewhere in space, carrying with it a fragment of history. That means that when you look at the night sky, you are not just seeing stars as they are, but as they were. Each point of light is an ancient postcard still traveling toward you through the vast silence. Just as your own mind holds faint memories of days long gone, faces, laughter, the scent of rain on a forgotten morning, the cosmos holds its memories as light, some of it bright, some of it dim, but all of it still there, quietly illuminating the emptiness between galaxies. The EBL is not a blaze of brilliance, it's a whisper of presence. It's the soft glow that fills the universe when no single star remains to shine. The collective afterglow of all that has ever existed. Carl Sagan once said, "A book is proof that humans are capable of working magic." Perhaps the same could be said of the cosmos. The EBL is proof that existence itself works magic, that nothing luminous ever truly disappears. It only spreads thinner, softer, more eternal. If you listen to the night carefully enough, you might feel it. That quiet pulse of light surrounding everything, even now. It's in the faint glow of the Milky Way, in the darkness between stars, in the shimmer of the horizon before dawn. So tonight, as you lie beneath the sky, imagine it not as blackness, but as a canvas of memory, a gentle film of light from every soul of a star that ever burned. Each photon passing over you has traveled billions of years just to arrive, carrying the warmth of creation itself. The universe remembers everything. It remembers through you too, through the light that shines in your eyes, through the spark that makes you wonder, through the quiet awareness that keeps you looking up. All that ever was still glows softly. You too are part of that afterglow. Every ray of light carries a memory. But like all memories, not everyone remains clear. As the photons of long-dead stars drift across the expanding universe, they pass through clouds of cosmic dust, tiny grains of carbon, silicate, and ice, the remains of what was once alive and burning. Over billions of years, these particles scatter, absorb, and soften the light until what reaches us is no longer sharp brilliance, but something gentler, a glow filtered by time itself. The universe, in its endless patience, keeps all things but blurs their edges. What we see now is the dreamlike version of what once was. The dust between stars, as one astronomer once said, is like the years between your memories. It doesn't erase them. It only changes how they feel. 10 billion years ago, the cosmos was in its most creative age, the peak of star formation, a time when galaxies blazed with newborn light. Stars were being born 1,000 times faster than they are today. Space itself shimmered with youth and energy. Every corner ignited with creation. But nothing burns forever. As hydrogen was spent, the cosmic pace slowed. The fires softened, galaxies aged, and the light of the universe changed from fierce to tender. Once, you might say, the universe was ablaze. Now it glows softly, like embers fading into peace. Even this fading is beautiful. It is the natural rhythm of all things that live. To shine, to age, to quiet. The universe has not gone dark. It has grown wise. It no longer rushes to create, but rests in what it has already made. We see this serenity most clearly through the eyes of the James Webb Space Telescope, or JWST, which peers through the dust to glimpse the faintest galaxies of the early universe. Its mirrors capture light that has traveled for over 13 billion years, light that began its journey when the first stars were still forming. And as JWST sends those images home, we are reminded that time does not erase. It only deepens the silence between what was and what is. Through its golden lens, we see cosmic dust not as an obstacle, but as a veil, soft, protective, and luminous. That dust, born from the ashes of dying stars, now shelters the birth of new ones. Creation and decay dance together in the same quiet rhythm. If you look up tonight, the light that touches your eyes may have begun its journey before Earth even existed. It has wandered through dust, storms, and collisions, carrying with it the story of everything that has ever glowed. And now it rests upon you, a traveler finally home. Perhaps that is what all light seeks. Not eternity, but arrival. Not permanence, but peace. Carl Sagan once wrote, For small creatures such as we, the vastness is bearable only through love. Maybe dust and time are the universe's way of showing love, softening the brilliance so we can see not with awe alone, but with tenderness. So breathe for a moment. Imagine the stars dimming, not from loss, but from rest. Their light still travels, just slower now, quieter, gentler. The night around you isn't empty. It's full of memories, glowing softly in the dust between galaxies. What you see when you look up is not the end of light, but its transformation, the calm after a billion years of shining. And in that calm, perhaps you can feel it too. The beauty of fading, the peace of stillness, and the grace of time itself slowing to a whisper. Even through the quiet veil of dust and distance, the universe still glows. Its light, softened by time, still wanders freely, ancient, unhurried, and endlessly patient. The stars that once burned fiercely may now be gone, their fires extinguished billions of years ago. Yet their light continues to travel, crossing the vast silence of space to find its way here, to this moment, to you. Astronomers call this fossil light, the final gift of stars long past. It is proof that even after something ends, its essence can endure. Each photon that touches your eyes tonight began its journey before Earth had oceans, before life had breath. And still, it arrives, unchanged in its devotion, keeping a promise made at the dawn of time. Every photon is a promise kept across time. It's a simple truth, but one filled with quiet power. Light does not fade the moment its source is gone. It continues to move, to give, to illuminate. It reminds us that endings are not always absences, that what is gone can still give warmth to the present. In this way, the cosmos becomes a teacher. It shows us that presence does not require permanence, and that even silence carries echoes of what once was. Just as the light of vanished stars still reaches us, the love, kindness, and thoughts we send into the world may go farther than we will ever know. They too become their own kind of afterglow, soft, unseen, but real. The extragalactic background light, the collective shimmer of all stars that ever lived, is the physical embodiment of that truth. It fills the spaces between galaxies like a quiet memory, a cosmic tenderness that never quite fades. In a universe where everything expands and drifts apart, light is the one thing that still connects it all. Carl Sagan once said, "To small beings such as we, the vastness is bearable only through love." Perhaps love and light are not so different. Both are acts of persistence. Both continue even when the source is no longer visible. Both move silently across distance and time, carrying meaning long after they were first released. So when you gaze into the night, remember that what you see is not the present, but a map of memory. Every glimmer is a story still unfolding, a word spoken billions of years ago that has just now reached your ears. Each faint sparkle above you is a promise that nothing truly disappears. It only changes form. You, too, are made of that afterglow, the recycled light of stars that once lived, once burned, and now rest in you. You are not separate from the cosmos. You are its continuation, its echo, its gentle persistence. Every breath you take is part of that long conversation between time and light. Even the darkest night will end and the sun will rise, wrote Victor Hugo. But perhaps the stars whisper something softer, even when the sun has set, Light never truly dies. So now, as the music of the universe slows, let your thoughts dim like the ancient stars. Let their calm fill you, their patience quiet you. You are part of a story that began with fire and still glows with peace. You are a flicker in the endless chain of illumination, shining quietly in someone's night. And as the cosmos breathes, so do you. Now let your light rest, not extinguished, only softened, drifting peacefully, like starlight finally finding its home. Somewhere beyond the glow of the last star, the universe exhales. The light that once blazed with creation now drifts like a lullaby across the quiet sea of space. Galaxies slow their dance, the cosmic winds soften, and what remains is a deep stillness, the kind that feels less like an ending and more like a pause between breaths. We have wandered through darkness and light, through the birth of stars and the silence of their memory. We have listened to hydrogen whisper, watched the first suns awaken, and felt the faint heartbeat of cosmic rays passing through our very skin. And now we stand at the edge of the observable, where light fades into mystery, and the next question begins to form. Beyond this point, something still stirs. Perhaps it's the echo of an earlier universe, or the pulse of a new one waiting to be born. Perhaps it's the sound of time folding in on itself, the cosmos dreaming another version of what it could be. Whatever lies ahead, it is not nothingness. It is simply the next quiet chapter. So let your thoughts rest here, at the edge of everything. Let the stars hum softly above you. Tomorrow we will travel further, into the unobservable, where even light must surrender to wonder. For now, close your eyes, breathe with the universe, and sleep well.